All right. Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Two Poly Chicks. Guys, Tip usually does the introduction, so I kind of get nervous when it's me. But anyway, we have a special guest with us here today. Hi, Joshua Brown. Hi. Hey, Tip, how y'all doing?
Good.
All right. So I'm going to introduce Mr. Joshua Brown. Now, this is I did read it, because you know when I got it, right, Joshua? I'm blowing him up right now.
I know.
All right,
my
Joshua.
Bad. I know.
Yeah, he said, my bad. I do see that you wrote a book, so I'm very interested in that. When did you write that book, by the way?
I just published it. Well, it's been a while, probably during the course of last year. But I just published it about a month ago.
Okay. All right. So we right in time.
Right on time.
Right in time. Okay.
And I wanted to do it before Father's Day so I can start promoting. I'm looking to actually have my second one out by June. So.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right. So Joshua, I see that you were born and raised here in New York, East Harlem. Yep. All right. You're a published author. You're an entrepreneur, a musician, a recording artist. So you can sing. Yeah. You can sing.
I think so, yeah.
And a father of how many? 7 children, and a pastor. And you're also dedicated to, you've dedicated your life to the growth of the community, which I thought was very, it's a wonderful thing. The communities definitely need people like that. Yes. So thank you for coming on the show with us today. We really appreciate you coming on. We want to have great discussion about, we're trying to do something in the month of June for fathers, to celebrate fathers. So like I said, your book and your presence here is right on time. Absolutely. So Joshua, tell us your fatherhood story, your personal story, and as well as your father, that story when you grew up. We want to hear about that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Let's start with the book in itself. It's something I had been working on for a while. And like I said, there are other aspects that I'll be putting out in terms of my next book as well. So this book is more like an overview of just cultivating parenting skills, things that I think people of all genres, of all ages, cultures can look at and say, wow, this is something I want to try and implement in my life for dads that are already dads, upcoming dads, stuff like that. So I just wanted to do an overview to kind of get my feet wet, so to speak, in the authorship. And so I'm like very excited about that. My next book is definitely going to be a lot more personal, a lot more juicy, if you will. And I think it's very, very important to our men and to our ladies as well. And most of all to our children. I think it's going to help a lot of people help to cultivate the next generation, because that's important. I always believed in that. What I do is great, but I want my children to be a whole lot better than I was. I want my children to progress. And, this is something other cultures, they work at. They make sure their children are set. They make sure they're taken care of in terms of education. They make sure they set them up some kind of way. And I think, unfortunately, in our Black community, it's like, we don't really get to do that a lot. And maybe because we don't have the means to, or because that's not our mentality. We weren't taught that. Right. So I want to definitely change that perspective about our Black community, about helping our children move forward. So that's what that book is really about. Okay. So I don't even talk about my real children in the book. I just mentioned some names, and which is weird, right? It's like I'm like, hey, I just wanted to do that because I wanted to be an overall experience for everybody. So that's why I did that. And like I said, get my feet wet, put it out there, and then pave the way for my next 3 books that will come. The reason I mentioned that first is because, I know in terms of writing a book, it takes a while for some people, for the most part, getting writer's block. But I have been working on stuff for years. So there's stuff in me that, because now I am able to understand how to put some things in play, it's going to come like that. And so I know it. And so I'm just preparing for the overflow that will come through what I'm going to be putting out there. So in terms of me, myself personally, I grew up in Harlem, shout out to Wagner Projects. I grew up in the project. So, and one of the things I pride myself on is having a lot of different experiences that I know was going to help people. I mean, my next book, I'm gonna talk about some stuff, and maybe today, just
Yeah, today.
I'm
all
like, why not
aspects
today?
of being a man, being a father. Man, it's some stuff that you could go through, and I done been through some stuff. So,
Mhm.
grew up in Harlem, did the typical, went to school, and ironically enough, I was talking to someone the other day that reminded me of how, back in the day, we used to have BCW, and then like ACS now and all
Yeah.
that. And
Hmm.
we were talking, I said, listen, my mother, the stuff my mother did to me was child abuse. I don't care what nobody's.
Yep. Yep.
If they knew what my mother did to me, they would go dig her up out of her grave and take her to jail. Like, her casket right in the cell, because it was crazy. Like, yeah. And she used to give our teachers permission to whoop us. Like,
Yep.
that's crazy.
Yep.
We used to
Yep.
go to school, and I'll never forget, Miss Epton was our third and fourth grade teacher. She used to say, if you mess up, you doing something wrong, all right, go to the bathroom. You already knew what that meant. Go to the bathroom, pull your pants down, and wait for her to come with the belt.
Wow. I remember
Um,
getting hit in school. I remember second grade, my teacher used to beat us too.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and the mothers,
I
like,
don't remember that.
listen,
You're younger, so
Oh,
you
oh
couldn't
my
tell your mother
goodness.
because, well, she already knew because she
you're
was
gonna
like,
get beat
that was
again.
another one. Exactly.
Yeah,
That was
you're gonna get
another
beat
one.
again.
Anybody in the projects whooped you, that was another whooping when you got upstairs to your mother.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you touch somebody's child, you might get killed. But now,
Yeah.
back then, no, that was like a gang thing. I was like, this is not working, so you couldn't even go nowhere and mess up. So again, I went through my childhood, did some things. I was pretty good in school. I was always gifted with the gift of music. So I
Hmm.
discovered my mother told me I was playing in drums with my bottles in the crib, and I didn't believe her. I was like, who
Hmm.
does that at 2 years old?
Hmm.
Are you kidding me? It wasn't until I had my own son and he started doing the same thing. So
Hmm.
I
Well, that's what I
started
was gonna ask you. How did those things shape? Oh, did you have a relationship with your father?
no, I knew
Mm-hmm.
him, like I knew who he was, and I remember specifically at the age of 4, that was the last time I saw him for a while until I was an adult.
Wow.
So at the age of 4, because I remember he came over to the house because he stopped my mother from whooping my behind. That's how I remember, because my father never.
Wow.
He
Wow.
stopped her and he gave me $3. I'll never forget that. So after that, I never saw him again until I became an adult, say maybe around in my 20s. And I remember my mom was very, very adamant about keeping us connected in terms of family. So I knew my
Hmm.
grandmother on my father's side, I knew my grandmother on my mother's side, I knew my cousins, and even
So,
my
but why
uncle.
not your father? Why wasn't he around? Like,
To tell you the truth, I really don't know. I really don't know what happened. He wanted to talk about it, and I guess at the time, I really, I was the type of person, I talk to people and I get it. People get bitter. People hold things, harbor things. I was never like that. So
hmm.
when I became adult, I remember my cousin who I seen. I was at a function in the park. We actually had to sing, and I
Hmm.
saw my cousin Vicky, and she was like, "Oh my God, I know, have you seen your father?" I said, "No." She was like, "Well, she gave me the number and gave me the
Wow.
address and everything." I was like, "Oh my God." So I called him up. He was in the process of moving. So I went to help him move. And, we kind of, talked or whatever. And I remember him, I guess he was trying to explain. And my thing to him was, I said, "Dad, listen, I don't even care. You're my father. That's all I care about. And if you need anything, I got you."
Hmm.
And that's what I
Hmm.
remember saying to him, because I didn't even want to hear it. Because what difference would it make now? I was like, listen, I wasn't
Yeah.
mad. I'm like,
Yeah.
it was what it was. But at some point, he did say that, no, my godmother was the one that told me that he wanted to marry my mom. My mom didn't want to get married.
Okay.
So I guess, that was a turn off. I don't know.
Wow. So how
He
does
just,
that shape your like what's your fatherhood story had to be shaped or affected by that experience?
absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
That was something I actually put a dedication in my book about. That was his absence caused me to be more relevant in my own children's lives.
hmm.
And because, and again, like that's what I really stand for. I don't care what you went through, what you've experienced in life. Don't allow that to be an excuse not to be better and
Right.
to help your children to be better. So I was like,
Right.
you know what? My children will never say that I don't know who my father is.
Right.
And I
Right.
guarantee you, each one of them, if you speak to them right now, they know who their father is. They
Hmm.
all know each other and all that good stuff. And I make sure of that. And I'm
So did you have like, I feel like now I'm getting your business a little bit and before the book, but you guys can still buy the book. But did you have like a battle custody stuff? I mean, I'm assuming you're not with their mom.
Right.
Did you have like battles,
had,
custody stuff?
Here's the weird part, because I think we talked about that too. I didn't have no battles in terms of custody. I had every battle in terms of everything else. And I had the baby mama drama, the child support thing. Man, listen, the one want to move away to a different state, all kinds of stuff. But there was never no battle, custody battle, because I was always there for my children, no matter what. So when me and the mother broke up, I made sure I was still there for my children.
So how did child support affect you? What was the child things support,
honestly, child support made me bitter. I was mad because I was like, how dare you? All of the stuff that I've done and I've been there.
Yeah.
Trying to do that. And that's another thing that I'm going to talk about. I don't talk about it too much in this book, but I'm going to talk about it in the next one is the things that females do that really hurt relationships and hurt our Black men as well, especially when they do certain things, because they're using it as a weapon. And it's unfortunate. And, before I say that, I'll say to the men, you need to step up your game and handle your business, because then there won't be those types of situations going on. But unfortunately, there's some women, no matter what you do, that's what they're going to do. And that to them, that's how I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you like this and get you like that.
In the pocket,
I went through that. Yeah, I went through that. And it's like, it's amazing because I said, wow, I'm there for my children all the time. And still, but they felt like that's the way I want to get you on. Okay.
And see, and I was gonna say, with your story, it seems like your story is different than a lot of stories that we hear with the custody battles and the child support battles. Like, how did and I know Cindy asked it, but how did you work out seeing your kids and like you just had an open type of relationship with the moms or the mother? How did you work that out? Like to see them, to pick them up on holidays or to pick them up after school? Like, how was that worked out among you and the mother if you guys weren't together? How did you understand what I'm saying? Like, how did you work it out? Or was it just
I know exactly what you're saying. So that's why I said I have a different story, like to cover all this stuff. Because I have the one, say with my oldest son, like for the most part, I never had an issue with them in terms of seeing my children. So it was never like, oh, you can't see them now, or every 2 weeks. It was whenever I wanted to. That's the beautiful thing about it.
Yes, that's great.
Perfect. So I've never had that issue. I had the child support thing, but I never had that issue in terms of custody. And so with some of them, there were a few, tricks in there. Like my oldest son, he lived with me for about 7 years. So he was like 13. So I kind of took care of him. Then he went back with his mom, whatever. He moved out to Delaware. And so they've been out there, and that's a whole nother case, whole nother story that I'll talk about in my book. But, I was there for him, no problem, no issues. Like I said, never had those issues except my second to oldest daughter, her mom moved out to Tennessee. And when she was about 2 years old. So at that point, she got married. She did tell me about it. We talked. I said, listen, I ain't no problem. As long as I see my child, I don't want to stop your life. Go ahead, do your thing. Unfortunately, that worked against me because she wind up stopping me from seeing my child, which was not good. And I really was like devastated behind that because we had an agreement, and she took the agreement and used it against me and left. And then I guess the last time I had spoke to her was about 9 years old. And at that point, there was the situation that I knew was going to happen that I dreaded, is that one day when she becomes old enough, she was going to call me. And it happened right at 16. When she came 16, she called me. And
so she had the impression that you abandoned her?
Not really, because after I talked to her, I realized that she remembered more stuff than I did, because which was perfect, because like I said, at the age of 3 years old, she was supposed to come back. She was supposed to come back for the summers with me because they moved out to Tennessee. That didn't never happen, and the mother just whatever. So I would always call for her birthday. I'd always call and different things, send birthday cards, all of that. And she told me, she said, I remember up until I was 9 years old, I remember getting all your birthday cards and speaking to you on the phone. at the age of 9 is when her mother started doing the she's not available right now, she can't talk right now, that type of situation. I was like,
yeah.
See, and that's where the court system, to me, I feel like if you have a mutual agreement and there's a mutual understanding and it's working, then yeah, everybody should be happy with that situation. But I do find, and I don't know if this is your experience, when it comes to the court system, a lot of times men are afraid to step into the court, even when they're in the right. Like, you had a right to see your child, you had a right to see your daughter and to have her on weekends, holidays, or whatever was worked out. But for some reason, it wasn't, I don't know your story, but it seems like it wasn't pursued, if that makes sense. Like, it just seems.
I'll basically tell you, it actually was pursued, because when she was supposed to come back to me at the age of 3, she came back. That I'll never forget. It was July 1st. She had a doctor's appointment. Took her to the doctor's appointment. I took her to her grandmother lived in New York, so I went there to meet her. Took her to the doctor. Came back, get her clothes together to bring her, and her mom said, "Oh, I changed my mind." I said, "What?" So for about a year and a half, I went to court back and forth. Let me explain something to you. This is something that I know for a fact, and I'll always say this, and I'm not afraid to say it. The courts are biased. And this is why men don't do the things that they should do in terms of going to courts. The courts are very biased, very biased. I had a lawyer who was very biased. She was a female. And when you say to a lawyer about a man, oh, he ain't this and he don't do, they automatically believe her. I don't know why that is.
Wait, this is your lawyer that's believing her?
This is my lawyer.
You got a new lawyer?
Her. And I was like, and that's what I tried to do. I was like, I'm good enough a lawyer, because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was like, wait a minute, she's lying to you. Like, what are you?
You know what it is? I think that we have the impression that men don't love their kids as much as women love their kids.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just crazy to me. Like, we look at men as babysitting. And we look at mothers as parenting. Right. So it's like, oh, I asked him to watch him while. I'm like, what do you mean watch him while you went to the store?
I was gonna say we society. Let's say society, because we.
No, when I say we, I mean we society. I think historically, women are looked at. I keep saying this. We did several episodes for fathers, and I keep saying the same thing like a broken record. Fathers are supposed to be out working, and the mother is supposed to be home. That's the traditional way that it was. And so the laws were made for the woman to take care of the baby, to stay home. So you can't take the baby away.
That's what I was going to say. So what was the end result of the custody battle? Because it seems like you weren't like.
Well, it wasn't necessarily a custody battle. It was about the visitation.
Visitation, right? He wanted
visitation. We had drawn up an agreement, and she reneged on the agreement, and I told the judge that. So what I found out, this is interesting. I found out that, first of all, you cannot move out of state with someone's child.
That's why I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was gonna say, I think you could have stopped her from moving.
Let me tell you what happened. I knew that. And so again, like I said, we sat down and talked about it. So I agreed, we wrote up a little thing, we agreed upon it, had it signed, that fine, you can move, get married, whatever, as long as my child is with me on holidays and during the course of the summer.
Right.
When she came back and she reneged on that, that's when I went to court. Let me tell you what happened. In the court system, our great New York City court system says to me, oh, they honored one part of the agreement and not the other part, which I could not understand to the life of me. I said, but wait a minute. I agreed to this on the assumption that I would be able to have my daughter, and she hasn't been able to do that. So what initially happened was they set a court date. She didn't show up for the court date. They actually put out a warrant for her arrest, which I was like, okay, I'm getting something done. Some magically they lifted the warrant and gave me some outlandish court date. And what people don't know is that after 6 months, you are no longer held to that law that says you cannot leave the state. After 6 months, they can leave and go wherever. If they're already in that state for 6 months, I would have had to go down to Tennessee to open up a whole nother case to go. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. So, I mean, when I tell you I was tired, I was done, I was just, and I prayed, I said, God, you know, I don't even know what to do anymore. So again, the court system is biased, and I'm gonna talk about a lot of that in my next book, because I think, you know, it's hard on brothers. It's hard.
Yeah, and especially if you don't have money or time, support. knowledge. You got to be able to read the documents.
Right.
And
the funny part about it is, the weird part about it is, which I'll add too, is that I lost my job because I was going to court so much. So I got fired from my job. Like, people don't, this is real stuff, because I was very passionate about making sure that she didn't get away with this. But I wound up losing my job because I had to take so much time off work, going back and forth to court, trying to get lawyers. I didn't have no money. So I was like, there's nothing I can do. And that's the sad part about it. When you are at that position where you really can't do a whole lot more, you have to eat it. And that's what I had to do. And I said, well, I don't know why this is happening, but I'm not going to let it stop me from being who I am. So,
well, that's why you're on our program, because we want to honor fathers, and we want to make sure fathers get their day in. You should get all your day in the sun. Yeah, your time to shine, your day in the sun. Because Mother's Day, we know, we see the flowers out, we see the teddy bears, we see all the
timeline
sales.
is flooded. The timeline is right.
Yeah.
Right.
And for fathers, it's like, oh yeah. It's like, oh yeah.
Right,
but
right. I know, I get it. Hopefully that will change soon, but I'm on a mission to really help change that as well through my books and do things that I'm putting in place. I even got a show coming out with my sons called Father Son Talk. I think I told you about it.
Okay, yeah.
And just I'm putting some things in place. And what I'm also doing is I'm abstracting things from other fathers that I see with their children, going up to them, like, so I'm gonna have them on the show. I'm gonna have them, express how they feel and just give them some good insight on, letting people know that fathers are out there. We're good. We love our children just, if not more, But unfortunately, we find ourselves in bad situations. And, I'm the first one to take responsibility for that in terms of talking to our men. Listen, when you are a man and you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do, make it happen. No matter what happens, don't you dare abandon your children, because they are not the ones responsible for that. They didn't ask to be here. Yep. It was because we was doing what we did.
I agree.
You were enjoying the ride.
Yeah,
exactly.
I was gonna say literally, but sorry.
Oh yeah, we ain't got no shame on you.
What would you say is the biggest misconception about men, or not about men, about fathers? Because this episode is really about fathers. So what would you say the biggest episode? Oh my gosh, I can't talk. I told you I was disheveled before the show, but what would you say is the biggest misconception about fathers or dads? What would you say?
I think that Cindy mentioned it, is that when you think that a father does not love his children just as much as his mom does, that's one of the biggest lies told. I'm sorry. Men love their children. I know brothers out here, all ages, all cultures, that love their children. It's unfortunate. I think in terms of the culture part of it, we are not as fortunate as some other cultures and some other races that we can do things for our children, or, we didn't take the time to maybe do things the right way. And that's why I said I'm always on the man in terms of being responsible first, in terms of getting married and then having your children. Like, there's certain things that you should be abiding by, which other cultures do. And so they're more prone to have a better relationship, have a better outcome in terms of how, things turn out with their families. But I think that's one of the main things, is that they think we don't love our children. We love our children.
And you have that same connection, just as much of a connection with the kid as the mom does, as dads do. And sometimes it's even more. Sometimes you have dads that are more loving and more caring and more supportive than the moms are. So, and like Cindy said earlier, it's one of those societal things where they feel the mom is always the best person to be for the kid to be with. And that's just something, it's changing. I was looking at a few statistics, and it's actually changing. You have more stay-at-home dads. You have more dads that are involved.
Paternity leave,
you have paternity leave that's being taken. My husband took 6 weeks off when our son was born. Like, he just was there every minute of my son's life to bond as well. Like, they're having those things in place now. So you can't say, which is good. It's changing. Things are changing, and we're seeing and appreciating fathers more and more and more. Now, with you having 7 kids, and remember, I know when we first talked about it, I was like, that's a basketball team. Let me see. That's actually, you got 2 on the sidelines. What is it? 35 plus 2 on the sidelines.
He almost got a baseball team. There's 9
like,
players.
sub.
Yeah, we can sub out and play 3-on-3. They can actually play 3-on-3 with each other. Just, I'm funny, Joshua. I'm sorry. But with you having the children, how do you find time to balance everything? Like to see them all, to spend time with them? Because I know spending time with them one-on-one is important, just as important as spending time as a group. So with the 7, it's gotta be like juggling.
Remember, they didn't all come at the same time. So that's a good thing, right? So gradually you're able to do that. Like my oldest son, he was the only one for a while. So I think he was about 8 or 9 before my next daughter was born. And then I had her a lot with me all the time. That's the one that moved to Tennessee. So she was with me all the time. So again, because there were never any real restrictions in terms of like with their mom or whatever, even though it didn't work out, they knew. And that's why I say, when you look at certain situations, people know. And ironically enough, I experienced something, and a lot of this, like I said, is going to my next book. When I went to court for child support for my last 2 sons, the judge there got upset with the mom and said, "Why are you here?" She said, "Because the children, my son at that time, my youngest was about 8 years old." She said, "So for the last 8 years, y'all was doing fine. Now all of a sudden you want child support." She was like, "I don't understand that." She said, "That doesn't make sense because y'all were able to get along. So what's the big issue now? 8 years?" She said, "I can see if it was a year, a couple of months." She said, "But 8 years?" She said, "I'm not believing that." She gave us some story, whatever. But the judge just was like, in which I was kind of shocked. I was like, wow, she was really against it. But she went ahead with it anyway. I was like, all right, no problem. But the judge said some things to her that I even spoke to her and said to her, like, why would you do this when, and her main thing was, why would you allow the courts to get into your lives like that and decide for you what to do with your own children? She said, why would you do that? But of course, she didn't listen. But anyway.
Especially if you already had an agreement that was working. So obviously something happened where it's like, okay, I'm not with that agreement anymore. I don't want that. Or
some of them are just crazy.
So what is the problem? Because you keep touching on this child support bitterness, but you're not saying what it is. So
let me tell you,
I'm nosy by nature.
Listen, like I told you, that thing, man, I'm bitter because that's not me. I don't deserve that. I know I don't. I don't care what nobody says. I do not deserve that when I know what I'm worth and I know what I do and have done for my children. I'm not. I'm not deserving of that. That's you just being bitter. I didn't want to be with you anymore. So you decided that's what I want to do.
Yeah, right. Because child support
that happens quite often. That's like that.
Yeah, and child support was supposed to be, I think, for the people that are not doing what they're supposed to do.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, you want to hide, you wanted this, you wanted that. Let me go after you for child support.
There you go.
So when you put a man on child, especially a brother from East Harlem in the hood, straight up, you're gonna take them to the court system.
Yeah,
it's really for for women. We know that's the dagger. Yeah. So like I watch paternity court because I got 3 sons and I'll be watching, and the first thing they say, I'm gonna put you on child support. That's the first thing. We know you don't want me anymore. We know we don't get along, but I'm gonna do this to you.
It's a weapon. It's a weapon.
It's a weapon. Definitely. And I'm gonna say some people do need the child support, like Cindy said, some that are running away, that are hiding, that are not taking care of their kids. They need to have the courts intervene where they're taking care of their kids financially. But when it's a situation where the dad is there and he's helping, he's always there, and you're not struggling for anything, then that situation is like, well, do you really need to put the courts or have the courts involved with that? So
I've seen women that I had, I had my experiences with the child support too, and he was out of state, and so it was really hard. And then I was furious because there's some of my girlfriends, their child support they're using to get their nails did, and and I'm just trying to like live.
Right.
Their nails did.
Everything.
So So I wanted to ask you, Josh, I know Tiffany just asked you about the misconceptions. And did you find dating a problem? Like, was it an issue? How did you balance that part of your personal life with, being a 7 papa? Papa 7.
It's never been an issue for me because, like I said, well, even with my son, my oldest son who lived with me for 7 years, I'm a firm believer. It's ironic because I was just talking to someone about this. I'm very adamant about not bringing, when I was dating, someone around my children until that person is either my fiance or that's somebody I'm going to spend the rest of my life with.
Right.
That's damaging to children. I don't care what's going on between me and the mom. And I just literally had this conversation with my 2 sons, well, 4 of my children's mother, because it's 4 of them by one lady. And she did something the other day that was just, and I saw the expression in my son's face and I saw how it affected him. And I had a conversation with her and she saw it too. For once in her life, she actually admitted, she said, you know what, you're absolutely right. She said, because I saw it. And that was, her in the dating scene, and she brought whoever this person is to my son's practice. And the look on his face was, and she knew I was going to be there. I told her, but I was going to surprise him because he just started. So I didn't tell him I was coming. I said, I'm going to surprise him. Never. And just the look on his face, I was like, oh man. And I said, what in the world is wrong? Because I didn't see him, but he was far off. But anyway, he came with them. He'd actually dropped them off. So my son, and people don't understand how sensitive kids can be. They feel responsible, or they feel, something gonna happen, or, am I loyal to this person? But, and the thing is, when you have a father in your life like that, my son was like, it affected him. I'm not really sure in which way, but again, dating is, something I think people should wait, or either keep that away from your children. Don't bring that in unless that man put a ring on your finger. Then no problem. Because I'm gonna keep it real. And I told her, I have no interest in meeting nobody that has not put a ring on your finger.
Right.
But he's gonna be a stepfather of my son, or
wait. I'm sorry to interrupt that point, because the only reason I say, well, I'll just say this. Before he gets to the step of putting a ring on someone's finger, he should meet the kids. And that's just my opinion, only because you don't know what kind of stepfather he's going to be. So you're committing to being engaged to someone, and they haven't met your kids, or they don't know what's going on with your family unit. It's like, well, now I'm about to be married to John, and come on, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of like, oh man.
No, when my kids were little, I was strict about who met them too. I'm sorry, I didn't want them to meet them.
But when it comes to, like, it has to be a certain point to where if you're getting serious, you have to say, okay, I'm serious enough to where you can meet my kids. So I can see, and that is a factor in my relationships. Before I started dating other people, it's like, well, how do you treat my kids? And I'll say my son's father actually broke up with a woman because he didn't like the way she was acting toward our son. And he's like, if you can't treat my kid right, then you can't do anything for me.
I called my ex-husband. I called my ex-husband when I heard that the woman said something shady to my son. I called him. I said, tell her, I'm gonna come down there and beat her up. I'm coming down there, and my son was so scared. He was like, no. I was like, and I didn't say it like how I just said it, but he knew me. He was like, Brooklyn style on you. You better treat my kid right. You his mother.
That's a factor.
Tiffany, is true, and I believe in that. Like I said, I'm talking about like in the beginning stages. So if you're just talking to somebody.
Well, no way.
But I'm saying, as it progresses, I get that. But I know for a fact that's not the case, because she's somebody I'm talking to.
Ain't going nowhere.
What are you doing with someone that you're talking to around your children? Why would you do that?
A casual date, a casual date should not be around your kids.
And for once in her life, she admitted it, and I was like, well, that needs to change. I said, because I am not going to have my children feeling uncomfortable. They know who their father is. I'm in their lives. And so again, back to what you talked about, even with the child support thing, like I've never, ever allowed myself to not do for my children. So even with that going on, I give them everything. They already know. So, you know, we take care of everything, whatever is the trips, like I said, practices, whatever it is, and still giving extra money, whatever I need to do, I do, because I want them to know that I want you to be better than me, especially with my boys. I need you to be better than me. I need you to understand this is not the way that you do it. Okay. The way daddy did some things wasn't good, but I need you, and I'm going to help you do it the right way so that you don't. And the same thing with my daughters. I told them, ain't no dating before you 18. And if you do, I need to meet them, period. And if I don't approve, that's it. And if I catch you outside of that, you're going to get embarrassed. The good thing that I love about my children, they respect me. So it's like, it's not an issue. So again, you know, making time for each one of them is not a problem, especially now. Like I have my two younger ones, they come over every weekend or whenever they want. Like they call me up like, Daddy, I want to come to your house. I go get them, no problem. My other daughter, the next one is, she just turned 16. So she just got a job. Like all my children, they have that same mentality that I have. They work, they want to work. Like she just got a job at Wendy's. She was so happy. Daddy, I was like, great, no problem. My 17-year-old, I helped her get a job at McDonald's. She went there and they denied her. She got all depressed. I was like, no, we're not doing that. I went and talked to the man. I waited 3 hours in McDonald's to talk to the man. And that was only because her mother tried to sabotage her job because she's like a living babysitter. So if she goes to work, you ain't got nobody to know. I was like, no, we're not doing that. No. I talked to that man. He was like, I've never had a father come here and rally for their child the way you. He said, you know what? Tell her to come tomorrow and we'll take care of it. And now she's in and this is less than a year ago. She's already in a position to be a manager. She told me yesterday she was so happy. I was like, that's what I'm talking about.
That's another job of a father, to be an advocate for their kids.
Yeah, protector, the protector.
Thank you. Don't just take care of them and all that. No, protect them, be in their lives, understand how to be there for them all through their lives. They're gonna need it.
And that manager is gonna treat her better because he's gonna be like her father. If he come up here looking for a job, imagine what he do if we hurt him. You know,
father will come up here again.
Listen. I had another situation with my older daughter. She's 22 now. She worked at Applebee's for a minute when she was 16. I was working there. They gave her a fit about, she had a situation going on, and people don't understand. We have laws, we have policies in place for things like this. And they gave her a hard time because they was really nasty. I called the corporate office and I spoke to somebody. They called down there, and when I tell you they were pissed at me, I don't care.
I don't care.
Much better. And she was like, Daddy, thank you. Like that. I was like, this is what we do. And by the way, I work for the mayor's office. So y'all know, I know these policies. I know these things. I'm going to advocate, and I believe in utilizing your resources.
No,
we're not doing that. No. So they already know. Daddy for them. They good. They already know. So then the time is like, I guess now it's easy. Because like I said, the two younger ones come over. My 16-year-old, she lives in North Carolina, but we call each other, and now that we have Zoom, I'm getting Zoom calls.
Now we spoke, of course, we always do our pre-call. So we spoke pre-show about this one specific thing. Father's Day will be the week, this episode will air the week before Father's Day. So it'll be Father's Day that Sunday, we air on Thursday. And we've seen a lot of happy Father's Day mom issues and things coming up. And I know you talked about how you felt about that issue. Just tell us from a male's point of view, how do you feel? And I'll say from my point of view as a female, I don't like it. There's the father and then there's the mother. And the mother may be doing a secondary role or doing more or taking on more, but she's still your mother. And that kind of diminishes the father and the father of a man. But from a man's point of view, what do you think about that being flooded with on the timeline and Facebook and Instagram and all of that? Happy Father's Day, Mom.
Cindy already see my face. She already see my face. No.
Not gonna be good. We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Exactly. Look, whoever watching this, ladies, stop it. Okay, you will never ever be able to be a father to your children, especially to your sons. You will never, ever, ever be able to do it. Just like I will never be able to be a mother to my children.
Right.
I can't do it.
Right.
I'm not a female. I don't care what you can't do it. Stop it already. Happy Father's. No, you may have had to take on the responsibility, you know, in terms of both parenting, but you didn't even take on the responsibility as a father because you can't be one.
Right.
You just took up the bulk of the responsibility. Let's just say that. So
now,
yeah,
I was gonna say, as a man, does that make you feel like a certain way? Like, does it make you feel diminished? Does it make you feel like, okay, well, you know, my role as a father is diminishing or being diminished in the eyes of society because of how people are kind of replacing or putting in a replacement for dads, and there's really not a replacement for that. So
I think that it makes a lot of guys feel that way. It don't make me feel that way because I know who I am. And like I said, don't nobody say nothing to my baby mother about, oh, happy Father. They know better. Because they will shut them, look, they will shut them down like, no, she has a father and he's doing what he's supposed to do. They know that. So I think it's unfortunate that some men do feel shut down, some men do feel left out, and they feel belittled and diminished because why are you saying that? Now, in all fairness, I'm gonna say some of them should feel that way because they're not doing what they're supposed to do.
Right.
I'll get on the man first. I'll always do that because if you're doing what you're supposed to do, a lot of these things won't happen. But when you out there being a bum and a knucklehead, and you know you're not taking care of your responsibility, or you're neglecting because of the mother. You know, I've had that situation too. Like, man, listen, y'all got.
And they don't wish fathers a happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, they should
like
right?
you know.
They're starting to do that now too. Because
I have seen that.
But there's a lot of fathers now that are like I said, fathers are becoming caregivers, stay-at-home dads. They're becoming the actual, I don't want to say mom, but they're taking more of a traditional caring role in the family. And then there's some fathers that have custody of their kids, and they're both role. So but it's just the fact of there's my mother and there's my father, and if your father is absent or your mother is absent, that even though they're doing that dual role, there's still that specific role. I'm still the mother regardless of whatever happens, and I'm taking on more responsibility, but that's not to diminish the fathers and the fatherhood and the necessity of fathers and fatherhood.
But let me say these two things. One is you have the female that's promoting that because they're bitter at the father and stuff like that, and they're promoting that even to their children. Like, oh yeah, I'm your mother and your father, blah blah blah. And
you don't need no father.
Right, yeah, exactly. And they're promoting that and they're putting it out there, and it's unfortunate. Then you have the next part of it where, you know, I talk about this in my next book as well, as how, especially with the young ladies, you know, I try to make sure that I kind of encourage them because there are things that we need to know that's the truth. And this is one of them. I thought with these young girls, this is why I teach my daughters. You getting with these knuckleheads, little drug dealer knuckleheads with their pants hanging down and all that good stuff. But what you're doing is you're perpetuating a generation of fatherless children, because you know what happens? You get with them, right? They're not doing the right thing. And what happens? You have a baby by him, and a year later, God, unfortunately, he's either dead or in jail. You have just now spawned a fatherless child.
Yeah.
And I feel like
or on to the next baby mama.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. You got what they call them, like project twins.
Yeah.
You know, you got a twin. They twins. They were born the same day by the same daddy.
And which is crazy. And it's like these young, and I teach my daughter, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Because that also plays a part in diminishing the man, and you know, as well. But then of course the brother got to do what he's supposed to do. But then I hold young ladies responsible too. And I told my daughter, somebody with his pants down, you're not even looking at him. Don't even give him the time of day. Okay? Because unless you want him to deal with me, you don't want to do that. And they take that in pride, and they definitely apply it. So I think that's important too. That's another way we can stop this perpetuation of fatherless children, because it's unfortunate. If you can't get your life together, you can't be with me.
That's true.
In a minute.
100%.
Tell him my father said.
We are having such a great conversation, just regular raw conversation. Not all you got a PhD and this and that. You got a PhD in fatherhood. And you got experience. I want to know how you take care of yourself. What you do for yourself?
for myself.
Nothing to do with the
Probably
kids. Nothing to do with the kids. Take care of
nothing to do with the kids.
Yes,
Oh, that's hard, man.
exactly.
That's hard because I'm gonna tell you now, I love my children. I love doing stuff with them. I love seeing the growth in them. I love the fact that they love me.
Yeah.
Like my little son, when I say, he's like, oh, daddy, yeah, yeah. I love that. That just, because that's something I did not have growing up. But okay, so without the kids.
Yeah, without the kids.
Something I'm probably gonna do right after we get off this. I'm going motorcycle ride. I ride a motorcycle.
Okay.
I love the ride.
So I heard. Yeah. He's a motorcycle guy.
Absolutely. I'm a motorcycle guy. And I'm really like a homebody. Like I can stay home and relax and watch TV and just rest. Like that's me. That's me. I can do that. That's why, the dating scene I like, but it's like, if I ain't got to, I'm good. I'm all right because I know that God has what he has and it's going to come in time. So for me, really just being able to, like, I'm a movie binge person as well. So if I've seen a series that I haven't seen, I'm one of those that'll be up like 3 o'clock in the morning talking about, all right, just one more episode.
Man, that's me.
And I gotta go to sleep, but I'm like, God, just one more episode. Like, oh my God, I can't. Why they stop it there? Oh my God.
Now wait, I know we're running out of time. I know we are on our last question, but I just thought of a question. I was like, I really want to know. So if you meet somebody that wants more kids, are you having more kids?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh my.
Boom. See, she's thinking.
Wait, how many's on a soccer team? Wait, how many?
There used to be a time I would say it doesn't matter because I'm like that. If we have them, we have them. We don't, we don't. Now I'm pushing towards like, probably not. Like, I don't know. If she's real adamant about it and you want to have one, like,
my God.
I'm like, listen, I got enough for both of us, boo. Let's.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like I said, how many people are on a soccer team? Is it 10? So
I don't know. There's 9 on the baseball team. There's 9.
Okay, so no. I mean, and then kids are expensive too. Let's be honest. They're expensive. I don't know how you take care of 7 when I have 2. Well, one is an adult, but I have 2 that's still I'm taking.
I got 3.
Daddy work a lot. Daddy work a lot.
I'm like,
that's how I do it. That's how I do it. Daddy works a lot. But listen, I'm very resourceful as well, and I teach my children too. I'm not one of those. Oh, you gonna go in the store and buy 5 pair of Jordans? We not doing that.
We're not doing that. We're not doing
no.
But I'll buy you something decent so they won't laugh at you in school. I got you. I ain't gonna have you looking all crazy now.
Yeah.
You also teach the value of money too. I mean, just because you're not getting $300 Jordans, it doesn't mean that you don't value good things. You can have a pair of good shoes and not have them cost $200. So
listen, Jordan don't even know you. What are you doing?
No.
And he keep putting out the same damn sneakers.
Right, over and over and over again. More money.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have never worn a pair of Jordans in my life.
Nope. And my kids didn't either. I know that question wasn't in our, but I was wondering when you were talking about dating, I was like, wow, what if you, because I'm at the stage, I have no interest in children. My youngest is 13. I have no interest in a baby. So somebody meet me talking about a baby. I got number love for you. I can't do it again. I can't manage it. I can't. Wow. The world is too mean and evil. Along with, my age, but the world is just not the same for me to be talking about pumping out a new baby to bring it through the system. But anyway, that was just me being nosy.
No, the great thing is that you have different people and, you'll always meet somebody. And I believe I'll meet somebody, she probably won't even want no more kids. And that's fine.
Yeah, I thought that too. My son was 15 when I met my husband. And I'm sorry, no, not 15. He was 8 or 9 when I met my husband, and he was 15. I only have 2 sons. My oldest son was 15 when we had a kid, and I didn't think I was going to meet anyone without kids at 30 something. And there we go. And here we are with the kids. So you just never know who you're going to meet and what's going to happen in life. So you just never, ever know. But I do have one last question for you. And it's the magic wand question. So if you ever watch our show, we always ask this question. If you had a magic wand and you could do anything.
I got to get mine. I'm sorry.
Cindy never has her wand. I'm just going to ask the question. If you had your magic wand, what would you do with it? You can go anywhere, do anything, have anyone. What would you do with your magic wand?
With my magic wand?
Yep.
Only one thing?
One thing.
One thing? honestly,
Yeah.
I would go back and make a specific change in my life.
Huh. You
Yep.
don't want to say what it is, though.
Huh?
You don't want to say what
Wait,
that change is.
what?
He going back in time. He said he going back in time.
I'm going back in time and I'm going to change a specific thing in my life. And that is, I would not be involved with one of my baby mamas. That's it.
But then
If
what
I
about
could
you
go
won't
back-
have the kid though, right?
Listen, I'll live. I'll sacrifice
Oh,
that.
wow.
I love them to death, but if they weren't here, they wouldn't know anyway. So
Here you
yeah,
go.
if I could go back,
Yeah,
I told God, if you
I'm
give
gonna
me
put
one
on that
thing,
note, I'm gonna put my wine to the side. I don't know about that one.
I'm gonna give him a one. No, I understand him because I understand you perfectly. I
Yeah.
understand you. I mean, I love my baby, but I understand you perfectly.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
understand. It's who you with, who you wind up with is just as important as the baby.
look, I was gonna say like a few $1 million, but no, if I had that
So
right there,
I was
I
gonna
could
say
go
you
back.
can have Cindy's wine then.
Here you go.
Take Cindy's wine. Yeah. I'm gonna keep mine
No.
for my whatever I think.
No, I understand you. I understand you. I
Trust me
understand
when
you
I tell you,
perfectly.
I promise you, I know the specific day and time. I'll be like, let's go back there.
Wow.
Boop,
Wow.
and let's dismiss that.
Get rid of that day right there. But
Right
I always
there.
say, you know what? When you change one specific thing in your life, it changes the entire trajectory.
It does. It
of
does.
life.
But I
So,
I'll take
understand
that
you.
there.
I
I'll
mean,
take
but
that.
I understand. Yeah. Yeah.
I promise you.
Joshua, we here.
Ernie Mac say, I promise you I would.
Oh man, that's funny.
we here, Joshua. We here. I understand. I understand. I love my babies, but I understand what you say.
Love them to death. Yep.
Love them.
Man.
Gosh, this was great, guys. This was really great
Cool.
conversation, just about your life, and life experience is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
It really is irreplaceable. So Tip, you got to do the your
Oh,
rambling.
I thought you were gonna close. Okay.
Oh, you okay? No, I'll close, but I got to see if I remember everything you be saying. Okay, so guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of Two Poly Chicks. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow us on all of our social media. So it's Twitter. Twitter is at Poly Chicks, right?
Yep,
Facebook is at
Two Poly Chicks.
See, that's why you should.
Okay, so all of our platforms, Two Poly Chicks on Insta, Facebook, and Twitter, and on YouTube, it's Poly Chicks. So follow us,
right.
share, like, subscribe, and email twopollychicks@gmail.com for any suggested topics. And thanks, Joshua, for being with us.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Listen,
All right,
thank you for having me, and I hope you don't mind. Just make sure you're going by my book. It's called
Absolutely.
Fatherhood.
And where can you
Fatherhood.
get it? We'll put the link in the
Cultivating
description.
Parenting skills it's I think I sent the thing, but I'll put it in there as well.
Okay.
Okay.
On Amazon Kindle as an ebook, is also in paperback. As you can see, I just got these in the mail, so I'm feeling really good.
Congratulations.
Listen, I'm happy about it. And then look out for my next book. It's gonna be deep.
It's gonna be hot. Okay.
It's gonna be hot. I'm
Nice.
talking about everything.
Wow. All right. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye guys.
Okay, bye.